pick up most except for
You guys can see what. No, not yet.
Joe, would you help him with this?
yeah.
Is this TV on?
Yep. Is now.
Okay.
So then if you want to be able to see that, you got it all.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, let's call our meeting to order. It is 5:46. We're a minute late. That's all right. So any public input? You want to introduce your new staff members now?
Yeah, we can do that. So this is 2 new employees that we've gotten here over the last year. I kind of forgot that we hadn't had John come. He's been with us for a little while. John Thurman, he's on the cemetery side. And then Alex Sdga, he started here right after the first of the year. So
Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
this is a little over half the board. So, but
The work half. The top half.
yeah.
Show up.
So, if you guys have any questions for him or anything, but
You have your speech prepared?
Can you evaluate your boss?
John can.
He's doing great. Will it affect how tomorrow goes for me? Is that that's?
Did you want to have Jason leave the room?
but things have been going well with them. They've been doing good and been working through equipment, and they've been getting broke in on all that and tree removal and all that. So anyway,
Good. Added to the team. We got a good group out there at both facilities, and I'd like to welcome both of you to the team.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming tonight. Okay, any delegations? Approval of minutes from 2 months ago.
I do have it. If you guys can see the TV, I think I've got it working here. It just won't
Yep.
go up on the big screen.
One change I'd like to make on the minutes. The final motion to approve the bills, I didn't submit them.
Oh, motion to approve the bills as submitted. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
The motion was submitted by you.
I made the motion to approve them,
Yes, submitted. Okay.
but I didn't submit the bills. I don't want any.
So we'll make that clarification. So a motion to approve as amended.
A motion.
Lynette? You guys got to spread out the seconds because there's only 4.
I'll second.
Thanks, Brian. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good. Now we're at the approval of bills.
First, I need to apologize that you have so many different financials presented to you there. I've been collecting them and trying to present them in the same way that you were seeing before, and we had 3 meetings in between the time that you met last, so that's why there's so many listed. You'll see there was December 2021 claims that were paid January 18th. You had the credit card bills that were paid in January for 2021. And then you had your bills for January 18th. That's for the 2022 budget. And then you had February 7th bills as well. I did also give you, if you're interested in the golf revenue versus expense report, that's as of December 31st. You can assume that that's pretty much complete. The finance office usually goes through March to make any final adjusting entries. But as you can see there, your revenue, I'm really sorry the rest of you can't see what I'm showing. Unless you want to move over, you could look there too. Your total revenue for 2021 collected was $540,000, and then the total expenses were $392. So that would show a revenue of $147,436 above what expenses were. And then there was other sources of revenue there. You can see that's transfers in from other areas. On page 2 of that same, and whoops, go, my computer. On page 2, you'll see the breakout of each of those individual department lines. You can see your revenue lines that were over what was budgeted. Most all of them actually came in above budget, so you can see that there under charges for goods and services.
Back up, just
Yep.
one screen there. Just want to make a note on the card rentals. 126,000 this year on card rentals.
This one?
No,
Yeah.
down to.
Oh, right here, I
Yep.
see. I'm sorry, I'm blind. There you go.
Versus, we've been running around 90,000 a year, I think, for quite a while. And
Mm-hmm.
so that reflected in the increased activity as well. So that's a nice.
Yeah, that line alone was $40,000 above budgeted revenue almost, so that's really good.
Yep.
And then if you look down into your expenses, you'll see the breakdown. The previous sheet just showed you the total expenses. This is the breakdown by category. So you can see there was a lot left over in the salary line because we had that position that was open last year in the full-time. But then you'll see like part-time we went over, but that's okay because it balanced each other out. But you will see on the current expenses, a lot of these were over budget. We do have a spending policy that says the departments are supposed to stay under what that budgeted amount is. If they're going to go over, they have to get approval from council. So just so you can see those items that were over what the budgeted amount was. Obviously, things like utilities, people can't do a whole lot about to control that, and it's probably going to be over next year too, based on what we're hearing from Northwestern Public Service. And then you can see any of this right here, revenue over expenditures. I think, Brian, you might have asked that in the past. That revenue that was over what your expenditures are stays in the golf fund. So that's for future purchases. One thing, I think I noted this at the last meeting, we did not ask for any repayment of those golf carts yet. It would not be our intention to do that all at once. I think Nate had talked to you about paying it all back at once. My preference is to not do that because you had a good year and see how the rest of the years go. Plus then, let's say you get into doing another phase of your master plan, you could ask for the council in lieu of that payment back for the golf carts, maybe you put it towards more of that master planning process. So, and you sold some kind of equipment, huh? 16,000. Fixed assets?
Well, that was from the 5 golf carts.
Oh, yeah. The park system bought.
Yeah.
Although we're not letting them take them until we know your other golf.
They took them, but I talked to them already. They're going to leave the boxes off of them.
Okay, good, in case you need them.
In case if I need them.
Okay.
And I told Jeremy that he could use them. Hopefully it doesn't bang them all up. So.
And then obviously the January and February the January is the only one I gave you the year to date because we're not into February for the full year of revenue. And you're going to show a deficit there, but you don't have your revenue coming in January. So I'm assuming that would turn around later in the year too.
We're used to being poor.
Yeah, right. I do know all of the Park and Rec division staff were given the final budget numbers. I gave that out to everybody so they could go through and start doing their capital purchases. And I know Jason's been doing a lot of that, looking at the equipment that was budgeted to replace in the different projects, so. I can answer any questions that you might have on the bills, or,
I'll make a motion to approve the bills. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good. Any old business? Okay, moving on to new business, we'll go to the Clubhouse Report. You know where Eric?
Yep. Not a whole lot going on. As my report says, just cleaning up, preparing the clubhouse and everything there for the golf season when we get started. Revenue report's already gone over. Noting on the revenue report for January, we're $1,000 ahead on memberships because of more people having the City of Mitchell Fund Pass. That's a reoccurring payment, because I think we were at, last January, we were at $2,500 or something like that, and we're at $3,300 this year, so memberships are still rolling in with the City of Mitchell Fund Pass recurring payments. Adjusting stuff, I'll have the website hopefully all updated by the end of February for the new membership rates and any flyers for the 2022 season. Junior golf, stuff like that, just organizing that so when March and April roll around and people start thinking about golf and junior golf, they can get the information they need and get signed up. Also, I put together, I'll go skip over the major events, but just a refresher for the 2021 rounds played, up roughly 4,000 rounds from 2020, up significantly on memberships. The total number almost at 600. Hopefully that continues to grow this summer. Should all the City of Mitchell Fund Pass holders punch cards. As you all know what the rates will be for next year, just a little bit of that increase will help the revenue on the membership side, cart side. And then on to any questions, I guess, leading up to all that, what's going to be going on. Good. The schedule, the major schedule of events, these are all, I call them majors because they're the ones that basically shut down the course for 5 hours at each tournament. The smaller ones I didn't list on this schedule because some of them are just tee times that don't really affect regular play or members that don't play in tournaments that just want to play. So I can go through them all if you want, starting in April when we have our first high school events, or if you have any questions, concerns, I added in there. There's one that got added in there. Me and Jason talked about it briefly. It would be on June 27th, so it'd be right after the Lakeview 4-person. It's the Sdga Sanford tour. So the Sdga has their regular junior tour. That's for basically any kid. Tom Jans emailed me probably 2 weeks ago, wanted to bring the Sanford Junior Series, which is their higher level junior series here, on the 27th, which would be a Monday. They had an opening there because we, as you see on June 8th, we also have their regular Sdga Junior Tour event in June. So the 27th one, I know you guys are going to say it's up to me and Jason. Me and Jason are still kind of discussing the schedule on what we can all fit in there and stuff, so that's down on there on June 27th. The other ones that I put on there, the member guests with that change of date to the 29th, 30th, and 31st of July, with the following weekend having the Sdga Championship Men's and Women's Amateur on the 5th, 6th, and 7th. And I have switched on there. I have not confirmed it with the ladies yet, but moving the Pepsi Cola, they always usually have that first Wednesday in August the 3rd, moving it to the 10th so that we're not combined with all that going on in the same weekend. So I have that moved. Airification, have down, me and Jason talked briefly about that today on the 22nd, 23rd, possibly more dates for spring airification. And then you get into September with a lot of high school events starting. And this is all subject to change as we get into March, April, and people actually start calling about events and stuff, but these are the main ones that take up a majority of the course and time on those days that we're on. So, most of them are all reoccurring ones that have been here. There's a few obviously new ones, but trying to delegate and get the ones we want in there, or the ones we can fit in there, that we don't take up too many weekends, too many days throughout the week.
And moving forward, I don't know if you're going to cover it in your report too, but these requests for these state tournaments moving forward kind of overlaps with this as far as, our future improvements out there. All these are going to have to be, we're going to have to get our ducks in a row with the council and everybody else as to whether we're going to have funding.
For the master plan.
Yeah, because that's going to have a ripple effect on state events especially, and let alone our individual ones, as far as whether we're going to be able to have some of these tournaments at certain times, so.
You mean during the construction?
Yeah,
process?
yeah.
Because they won't want to bring a state tournament here if we're going to have things tore up, so.
And that's kind of why we have this Sdga event coming now, is because it's ahead of anything major that we're going to be doing. It'll definitely have an impact on high school events and on Sdga events, but we've got our own calendar to worry about too.
And a lot of the stuff that we'll be doing going forward, I mean, if we tear into it at the end of the year, it's going to affect girls golf. And more than likely, it's going to, if it's anything major, it's going to trickle into the spring, so that's going to affect boys golf in the fall and then girls golf in the spring, so it's going to be a balancing act. So.
I guess that's another reason why you shouldn't pay back this loan.
Yeah, exactly. I was
Because your
glad,
revenue might be down while you're doing that construction. too.
when we talked the other day, I was glad to hear you say that, because it's nice to have that cushion available, especially where we're at now.
Yeah, it's just like when I talked to Jason today, I mean, we just got to give the events and stuff forewarning that this will be going on in case they don't want to host the event, or we have to deny a state event for what's upcoming on the master plan. If we're going to have 2 holes under construction and have temporary holes on a hole or 2, then they're probably not going to have to or want to have a state tournament, or maybe even a fundraiser
Right.
at Lakeview with that, so.
And as long as it's planned ahead of time, I mean, you can put a temporary green in the fairway, and as long as you plan it ahead, get the bent grass to grow in it and everything, you can do it. It's not as good as the regular green, but it's a temporary fix. So.
What do you got for state tournaments coming in, besides this one?
So, I'll get into that here. We have the Sdga state tournament, the August 6th, 7th, and 8th, or 5th, 6th, and 7th. Then we have the Class AA state boys golf tournament, October of this year. I was out at the course today. I got stopped by Corey Odlin, the AD. He got requested by the South Dakota High School Activities Association for 2024. They want to have the Class B tournament, because they have boys and girls for B in the spring, so they'd have one boys or girls would be a wild open, one would be here. That'd be in 2024 the spring, which would be the first Monday and Tuesday in June. And then in 2025, they want to have the Class AA state girls in the spring, which would be the first Monday and Tuesday in June. So those are on our radars now too, with the upcoming construction plan and master plan and stuff. If we are able to host those, or if we have to tell them we have to bypass them or switch with a course for their state tournaments and stuff, since we would be under construction. So other than that, from Sdga tournaments, no idea. They contact us kind of the year before if we're have a weekend open to put one of their tournaments in, but like the high school state tournaments, they like to have theirs in advance too, 3 years in advance, just so they got it on the schedule and they can let the schools and teams know where the state tournament will be at down the road.
So given the plan for a master plan
Yeah.
out there, obviously, we can't do it all in 1 or 2 years. We gotta do it yearly.
What was
The
it? 8
concern
phases.
is, number one, we're gonna have to bid out most of that. And, I mean, we could be into the golf year quite a ways before we realize that they're gonna do the actual work on in a given time period.
Or,
So how do we let them know ahead of time?
well, just a FYI, right now, most contractors are bidding out for 2023 already. So it's a year out, more than likely. And that could change by 2024.
Well, I mean.
Nobody knows.
No,
Yeah.
that's probably a safe bet.
Yeah.
But that still doesn't address the problem that ultimately, we may have to bid it, say, in February, for example. Well, that doesn't mean, I mean, we can specify when we want to have it done,
Yep.
but that doesn't necessarily give us the
Yep.
calendar wide open to go ahead and schedule everything else when we don't know when.
Well, and part of that is Mother Nature can throw a curveball in there.
Oh,
too.
absolutely. I mean,
Just because
there's a lot of things that could come into play
Yeah,
on this.
just because a project's scheduled for the end of August through September, or whatever, doesn't mean it's gonna be over at that exact date. You're dealing with a lot of different variables.
Well, just assume it's scheduled to be completed in August, and we end up with a month of rain.
Hmm?
Once that rain's over, they didn't do any work in that, but that kicks it out another month, or 2, or whatever it takes. So how do you, I mean, I don't know how you schedule anything.
We would probably just have a schedule telling them there might be something that's gonna come up that we might have
Yeah,
to postpone.
But being the kind of people that Mitchell is, we'd want to give them as much lead time on that as possible.
Yep.
So,
And fully planning on at every possible stage of this to minimize as much as we possibly can any play disruption, but eventually there's just no way around it.
yeah.
Yep. I totally agree with what you're saying. Yep. I guess we're just gonna have to schedule it the best we can, and it might not go the way we want, so.
Well, I just, the sad part of it is, like the state events, you don't want to turn them away, obviously. We want to see as many state events come here as possible. But I don't want to upset them either and say, oh, by the way, 2 weeks before your event starts, we can't do it.
Yeah. Well, and if we agree to a state tournament, we're gonna make sure that, like this one coming up this year, or the 2 coming up this year, I'm intending on all my projects to have, even if we're not playing those specific areas, at least have them grass back in, and then not start until after that double A one is over. So that's my plan for this year, and then, like I said, it's just gonna have to be planned the best we can.
And it'll have to kind of be a two-way street with the people we're playing with South Dakota Activities. They're gonna have to know to have a backup plan if we tell them up front, hey, this could change quickly on us, that you might have to have a backup plan if it does a month out change.
They usually don't have any problem, like Brookings is a year ahead of you.
Yeah, then swapping years.
Around that way.
Well, we did that with the Yankees.
Yeah, when Wild Oak flooded, we
Yeah.
couldn't host the B tournament.
Communication is key. Anything else in your clubhouse report, Eric?
If there's no questions, I'm pretty sure that's all I got. Once we get up and rolling, I'll obviously send out the email to my membership-based email once I know we're getting opened up and stuff, and go from there.
Great. Okay, Jason?
I'll just skip through this a little bit. Payloader is still down. We got an electrical problem with it. They think they found it, but they're waiting for relays for it. Sdga has completed the main part of the contract for on the golf course for trees. I might have them come back and do a little more work with the aerial lift and knock one or two more down of the bigger trees that, but, so that might be, the original contract was for around, I think it's 12,100. So I might have maybe another 3,000 out of the project line item for that, so. That was actually golf course side. This says under cemetery, but had to start thawing graves all in January, so that's been adding time onto that. If you got access to it, down below it shows the District 3 mapping. They are a little bit further than this week. I didn't have it in time to, but this is what I had when they when I had to have the report submitted. So it's in progress, so it's getting exciting. So we've had some requests for mausoleums, so we're looking at some options, possibly the south side of Block 2 to kind of have a smaller area for a couple mausoleums to be put in. We actually had, I believe, 3 inquiries, but only one of them is still pursuing it. So, so between with the mapping, there should be, by the time we collect from a couple different sources, there should be about $13,000 left in that to go towards expansion. So we'll move forward on that afterwards. Garden contracts have gone out. There will be a part here in a little bit about extra fee for non-cleaning up of your spots in the fall. On the golf course side, there I said the trees on the golf course is satisfied. A few more odds and ends. Probably about 2, maybe 3 days of bucket truck work is what I'm planning for that. The pond cleanup work is in progress. They're going to come back and work on that some more. Looking into the possibility of a box scraper coming out of the project money if we're going to do the work ourselves. I found one and I thought it was going to work, but it's pretty narrow, so I don't know if that unit's going to work. So I'm looking at other options possibly. So if you have it on there, there's also a picture. I did purchase a brush out of last year's budget for brushing and top dressing sand. It's a rotary brush, so it'll help work in the sand, and then when the holes are filled, it's going to be easier to work the sand totally off the green. So I felt like I got it at a pretty good price. So. As far as the other projects on the golf course, I'm planning on forward tees and taking out crowns of existing tees and trying to make them, re-level them. If we do get that box blade, it would help with all that. So The plan is to have a 1% grade on everything. The forward tees, I'm hoping to have them somewhat incorporated into the fairways. So it would be a raised area, but it would all be mowed with the fairway mower, so it would be a gradual increase and then flat and then down again. So to minimize maintenance, but so if anybody, originally I'd wanted to have its own spot off, but I think after talking to Kevin Norby, I think we can make that work and give a nice flat surface for that forward tee and still make everything flow. So all that can be changed. We can decide down the road.
Is the grass on the tee boxes shorter than on the fairways?
A little bit, yep. The fairways are mowed at 7/8 of an inch. The tees are 3/4. Tees could be down to 1/2 inch if we really wanted to, but so I mean it's a difference, but it's not. Most people don't know the difference, or aren't going to notice the difference.
Will your forward tees go lateral to the fairway or lengthwise?
They'd be, the long way would be with the fairway. That's what you're asking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, probably somewhere between 500 and 1,000 square feet those forward tees would be. So not huge, but for the amount of play, I think that would be adequate. Mr. Norby said about 500 square feet. I think I might budge that up a little bit, maybe keep it around 1,000, but when we get into that, but if it's going to be on the fairway, literally we'll be able to cut the sod off, bring in some dirt, and I'm not talking this, I'm talking, it's going to be noticeable, but it's not going to be a big rise. That way, that grass has already been used to cutting at 7/8 of an inch. It's not, we can reuse it, and it's going to be an easy, and then it'll be back in play a lot quicker.
Well, not only that, but if you raise it just a little bit, you're going to identify it, and you're not going to have car traffic going across it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're hoping.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then there might be some situations where we might have to bring the cart path, because if it's here to that screen away and somebody doesn't want to walk over there, they're going to drive over there anyway. So there might be some instances that we want to bring the cart path right up to it, but that wouldn't be a huge expense. You're talking probably $1,000 to bring one chunk of cart path around. So
Yeah, but if you do it on every hole,
yeah. So I mean, it's
it adds up.
it's all in play, but just a matter of where we want to go with it. So I have talked to one of the contractors that I've known, and I mean, they sounded like they might have some time in June and or in October, and that's kind of where I want to be as far as doing those projects in June or wait until October. So I think and then that's just this guy. I mean, there might be others or whatever. So well, I think what my plan is to try to do as much as we can in-house in June, and then possibly in October, look at digging into 9 green, the backside of 9 green, or maybe 9 and 18, depending on how much money's left. But we would have to get it lined up here fairly soon, so we'd have to designate a portion of that money so that we know how much project we can bring them in for, so they can plan to come in. So if that happens, we would dig into that like right after the state AA tournament. So, in that fact, we would just have to pick 2 projects and see how much it's going to cost and see if they're able to do it or not. So, and if they can't, we'll dig back into tee boxes after the October or into October, and we'll still try to get as much as we can done. So, Aerification schedule. Like we talked, we had a couple days in August we kind of picked out. If we're going to do it in the spring, I was thinking, what did I say, June 13th?
Yep, so Monday.
So that's an option also. There again, my only other option this year is to wait till after the state double A. That next day, just hammer it out. That rotary brush was $800. I'm getting seasonal employees locked up. I talked to 2 this morning. Going to hire one for sure. The other one, he's going to get back to me on his schedule. He does some coaching, so he wasn't sure if he was going to go back to Colorado or not. So, working on equipment. Worked all the way through the workman's. A lot of the cemetery mowers are done. Starting in on some of the bigger golf course equipment. And just plugging away at that. Going to get started grinding rails here. I'm looking at only engine I can find for the blower is about $3,000, so that might be coming. I got to decide if we want to do that or tear into it and rebuild it. And then Dakota Pump started working on tearing pumps apart, and they're going to pull them tomorrow. We got to replace the packing boxes on them, so hopefully that goes well. I got a telehandler coming in, and they're going to pull them out of the roof, and we're going to totally tear apart one pump and send the packing box down to Iowa to get rebuilt. But we're going to have 2 of them built, so that way if we have an issue and we get into the season and I need irrigation, I can stick the other one back in and we have water. So I didn't want to heard horror stories last year at a golf course that didn't have their main pumps all year. So they could water greens and tees, and that was about it. So I don't want to go there. Other than that, if anybody's got any questions about if anybody's got issues with what I'm thinking on projects or anything, if somebody's got an issue with the way I want to do the tees or anything like that, we don't have to talk about it right now. You can stop in my office anytime and we can talk about it too. I forgot about that.
I ask him every week.
Yeah, they continue to forget about us.
The last I have gotten notification that they've actually somewhat given me a date. They said they're going to try to get them to me within the next 60 to 75 days. So at the 75-day mark, that it would be April 19th. So I guess they're at least giving me somewhat of a date now. It's been pretty quiet from them all winter long. So,
But they're committed as far as the resale on trading value.
Yeah.
They're locked in.
Yep. Yep.
And you're getting the newer model
Yeah.
at the old price, right?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be a year newer cart. So.
Wait long enough.
Yeah, they should.
So.
It's only going to get worse though.
I guess it is what it is. I mean, like you said, I have no control over it, and I talked to Jeremy. They actually already picked up their 5 carts. The Corn Pals picked up their cart also, but I've talked to Jeremy about it, and I said, you keep the carts, but don't put the boxes on, so that way if we have an event and we need them, we can come and get them. And if it,
That who?
Jeremy Nielsen? Yep.
Around.
Yeah, that Cadwell.
Cadwell.
Yep.
Yeah, because they already paid, you've already received that
Yep.
revenue.
Yeah.
But you're saying if you need them, you can get them back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because he'll have only a few tournament or days when he needs them, hopefully by the end of April or end of May. And we should only need that many, maybe a couple times. So we're really hoping. Another one I heard here yesterday is there was a golf course that got a big lease package and they had already committed their used stuff to another golf course. So they do not have equipment for this year. So they're working on finding rental equipment for this year.
Ouch.
Be glad you still have it.
Yeah. So,
Got my-
I know how you can make some extra money on that golf cart.
Yeah. I do too.
You're not telling me.
no, this isn't golf carts. This is equipment.
Equipment.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
His cart.
Okay. Yeah. But. So.
okay. Anything else?
I
Were you gonna go over the garden?
We have that scheduled for the next item for you to actually take action on.
Okay.
So the reason for that is since the Golf Cemetery Board actually has the city code behind the authority that you take, you are now going to be required to take formal action on all fees and policies, and we're going to start keeping them tracked a little bit better too. So this is the first one that Jason had brought to me, and you can explain it.
So we've had some issues with garden plots not getting cleaned up and people not weeding them through the year. So this will actually, it's not going to so much address the issue of during the year so much, but in our letter that we sent out, in the contract we sent out, we asked people to respect their neighboring gardeners and keep it clean through the year. And then we added this fee for at the end of the year, hoping that people will start to take a little better care. And if they do not take care of it at the end of the year, we will charge them a $15 fee. And then they will not be able to renew their garden the next year unless everything's paid up and everything's okay. So.
And so even though it went out in the letter, they can't actually charge that fee without first the Golf Cemetery Board taking action to approve the fee and have it on the schedule.
So we're really only addressing the end of the year.
Yeah, but if,
Truth be told, having leased space out there,
yep,
it's amazing how many people will go out and plant and never go back.
yep,
Really?
Oh, I mean, and the weeds are, I mean, it's terrible.
yep. So there is something in the contract that they're supposed to do that. So, I mean, I think what we're going to do for this year is if someone becomes a problem during the year, we'll be a little more active in talking to them and getting them to work on it. And then if through that and this or fee change, if that doesn't fix it, then we'll maybe have to.
So the letter's already going out.
Yeah, if you look
So
in my report, what got sent to everybody is in my report. I didn't go over it, but it is in there.
That's this one?
Yep, that's exactly what went out to with every contract. But yeah, I believe we had to totally clean up about 4 or 5 spots this last fall. Is that about right?
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yep,
And weeds, like you're saying, like shoulder high weeds and stuff, 1 or 2 of them.
yep.
Well, and it's not like they have to haul it away.
What's that?
It's not like they have to follow it all the way.
No, I mean, we supply an area for them for all their weeds and everything to go
Everything
to. I
go out in the
mean,
garden at the end of the season.
we supply wheelbarrows, I mean,
You said $15 and
Yeah.
well, we're hoping I guess the $15 is not a huge dollar amount, but hopefully it gets people to think a little bit, and respect their neighbors.
It's a gentle nudge.
Yep, and if that doesn't work, we can change it again next year, so.
I'll make a motion that we approve this fee.
I'll say.
On that. Any
I'm not
discussion?
sure of the legal terminology of it. We have to approve the fee for the gardening. I don't-
You can just use what's on the display there, just to set a $15 service fee for items not removed from the community gardens at end of season.
Well stated, Brian.
Thank you.
Good job.
Yeah.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Go forth and conquer.
Nay.
Yes.
Late that way.
Yeah, a little slow.
Jeff, if I may, I did send out a note to the full board, but just in case there's any public listening to your board meeting, the mayor had recommended for appointment a new park and rec director, and the council confirmed that last night. His name is Kevin Nelson, and he'll be starting with Mitchell on March 7th. And so you will have a full-time staff member, and your division supervisors will not have to deal with me anymore, so I'm sure they'll be excited about that. So you can look forward to him joining. He is currently the Park and Rec Director in Austin, Minnesota. He has over 23 years management and budget experience. He is a golfer, and he was the president of their Lake Board Improvement District. So he's also had some experience working with improvements on lakes as well. So the mayor and council thought that was a good fit for the needs for the position. So
Good.
next time we'll get to introduce him to you.
Assuming he'll be at our next meeting, which is the 14th of March. Okay. I do want to have our executive session at this point, and so we set our meeting date, and not planning on any action afterwards, but I would like to move into executive session to discuss personnel issue. So I need a motion.
And then Angel,
Go into executive session.
What's that?
Motion. Go into executive session.
Second.
and then Angel in the minutes, just make sure you note the codified law on there as well, the number.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Nobody's off here.
There you go.
Your lights are here. What about now?
Tons of people that are out there.
Yep.
You never know.